everybody, this is Jim the Tabletop Engineer, and welcome back to my game of Arkham Horror, the card game. I am playing Night of the Zealot. This is a scenario 1 in Night of the Zealot. There are 3. And when I last left off, Daisy had moved to the attic, spending her first action. And she took a horror because the attic is a very spooky place. There are 4 clues in here with a Shroud of 1. So she's got a really good chance of investigating. But before I do that, let me put this. So in the last video, I removed the study from the game and finished Act 1. So we go to Act 2. Let me read Act 2 to you. The barrier. A glowing barrier blocks the path to the parlor. We already knew that. As you move towards it, intense heat forces you to back away. Picking up a handful of dirt, you toss it at the barrier and watch in horror as it incinerates. Perhaps there's something in the cellar or attic that can help. Objective. When the round ends, investigators in the hallway may, as a group, spend the requisite number of clues to advance. So we have to all get back to the hallway in order to spend our clues. We need 3 clues per investigator, so 6 in all to go to act number 3. There are only 4 here, which means we are going to have to go to the cellar. Now, normally, I don't like to split my party, but in order to do this at a relative quick pace, I may need to send Mark to the cellar and let Daisy investigate the attic. But because Mark was exhausted in the last turn, I'll have to wait until the next turn to figure that out. Daisy still has 2 more turns. I am going to have her investigate, and the most clues she's going to be able to get is 2, unfortunately. I could get out a tome, finally, which will allow her to continue to draw cards. It does cost 3. That will be 1. Let's do that. I'm going to spend an action. I'm going to spend her second action and spend 3 resources to put out the Grim Memoir. Now, I can have 2 of these out at any time, but I do have a card called Daisy's Bag, which will allow me to have a 3rd one, which is kind of cool. All right, so the Grim Memoir is out. As an action, I can spend one of its 4 secrets, so it's got 4 on it. It's kind of like the flashlight. You burn one of its uses to get a bonus. And that bonus is, I'm going to get +2 investigate for an investigation. If you succeed by 2 or more, you get to draw a card. So that was her second action. For her third action, I'm going to spend one of the secrets. I'm going to do an investigate. Now, her investigate is 5 versus 1, and I get +2, so she's at 7. The only way I can fail this is to draw the auto fail. 7, and this is the number of ghouls. So 7, I did beat it by 2, so she gets to draw a card, and she got another forbidden tome. Well, it's a tome called Forbidden Tome. It has 5 secrets. You can exhaust it and spend a secret. Draw 1 card. Then, if you have 10 or more cards in your hand, and there are no secrets on Forbidden Tome, you may discard it to record that you have translated it. That allows you to basically upgrade this card at a later time to a more powerful tome. You've translated it. But this goes in her hand. She has not put it out yet. But she did successfully investigate, so she gets a clue, and that is the end of her turn. So, we go to the enemy phase. There are no enemies out. Now we go to upkeep, so I flip the cards back over. Everybody gets 1 resource, and they draw cards. Daisy always draws 2 and keeps 1 and discards. She's got Archaic Glyphs, which is another tome, and Seeking Answers. If you succeed, instead of discovering a clue at your location, discover a clue at a connecting location. Well, the attic does not connect to the cellar. It only connects to the hallway, and there are no clues here. This would only help me if I was in the hallway and say Mark was in the cellar. Then it's a connecting because I will have revealed it, and then I could use this. So this really isn't going to benefit me if you succeed instead of discovering a clue. But it does give me 2 uses. It gives me an agility bump and a research bump versus just 1 research bump. I don't think I'm going to have, this says discard a card with at least 1 research from your hand. Place a resource on it. After the 3rd secret is placed, discard it, gain 5. Ooh, that, you know what? I may want to do that. I think I'm going to do this because it gives me a chance to possibly translate this card and get a better one later in the game. So I will put that in my hand. And now Mark draws a card. And he draws an emergency cash that will get him 3 resources if he cashes it in. And that is the end of the upkeep phase. It is now the Doom phase. We place a Doom token. Mark went first this turn because he encountered or engaged the rat. So he draws first. He draws Crypt Chill. Test 4 will. If you fail, choose and discard 1 asset you control. If you can't discard an asset, you take 2 damage. Well, I've got the guard dog and the flashlight. I'd rather lose the flashlight than the guard dog right now. So, test 4 will. So let's see what we got here. I need to put this here. My will is 2, so I've automatically, or 3, so I've automatically failed it. I could bump it up by playing Safeguard. I will do that. Safeguard turns it up to 4, and Daisy is not at his location, so she cannot contribute a card, which means I'm probably going to fail this, which means I'm going to have to discard an asset. I'd really rather not, but this will give the guard dog +1 health and +1 sanity, which is huge. Let's try it. I'm at 4 versus 4. It's an even, so I need to draw a 0 or higher. Ooh, I drew the auto fail. So I failed. If you fail, discard an asset. I will get rid of the flashlight. And that is Crypt Chill. Now Daisy's turn. Daisy draws a ghoul minion. Uh-oh. The ghoul minion spawns with her. It has 2 fight, 2 health, and it does 1 damage, 1 health, and 1 sanity. Ugh, alright. Well, she screams. She screams till when the ghoul appears. So Mark may have to go help her. All right. That is the end of the Mythos phase. It is now the Investigator phase. I'm going to have Mark go. Let me reset all my turns. And remember, Daisy now gets a bonus turn. She has a Grimoire. Oh, I didn't do that on the last turn. She could have done another Investigate and used the Tome. Let's retroactive that. Let's just do it. So on the last turn, because she has a Tome, I can use its special ability. Spend a secret, get +2, and she's now at 7 versus 1. The auto fail would be the worst thing to get. And I got the Tombstone, which is -2. If there is a ghoul at your enemy, take a damage. Well, there was not a ghoul when she would have done this. So she did succeed. She draws a card. She got manual dexterity. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. She's got 8 cards in her hand. And she gets a clue. So now we come back to Mark. Mark moves here with Daisy. He will spend an action to engage the ghoul. So he's defending her basically. He's helping her to do the research and investigate, but he's there as the tough, as the muscle. So he's got one action to try and kill this thing. Well, it's got 2 health. So what I'm going to do is I'll have it hurt the guard dog. The guard dog will bite it. What I need to do is 1 damage with Mark, and then when he attacks, I'll assign the damage to the guard dog, which will do 1 damage back and kill the ghoul. So, but first I got to fight him. So my fight is 5. His is 2. I like those odds. There's really nothing I can contribute to make that better. Daisy does have unexpected courage, but she may need that. She may need that. So let's see. The ghoul minion was an enemy card, not a treachery card. Okay, so she couldn't have used ward. So she could give the Forbidden Tome, which is going to take 5 turns to use up. It's a wild. I'm going to contribute that. He's 5 versus 2. Well, there is no -3 in there, so it's the auto fail would be the 1. So I'm not going to use up one of her cards. I'm just going to go ahead and do it. So 5 versus 2 to do 1 damage, and I don't want the auto fail. Ooh, I got the Elder Sign. Now his Elder Sign says +1 for each damage on Mark Harrigan. Well, he has no damage on him yet, so he doesn't get the +1. But he does defeat it, or he does put a damage on it. So you put 1 heart on it, and that is his turn. Now, Daisy is not engaged with it, so she can go and investigate, which she's going to do. So I am going to first get out the arcane glyph for 1 action. So her first action, she plays it. It costs 0, so she can just put it in her hand. It says discard a card with at least 1 investigate from your hand. Place a resource on it as a secret. I'm going to do that as her free action. Remember, she gets a tome action, so she can do this. So for her free action, which I'm not going to trap here, well, I guess I could do the 4th. For her, no, we won't do it. I'll just say this is her free action. I get to discard a research, which is Feed the Mind. It's got an investigate. So I will discard it, and I get to put a resource on this card. And remember, when it gets 3 of these, I discard it, I get 5 resources, and I get to log that I've translated it, which is going to come into effect later. All right, so that was her free action. She's still got 2 actions. So I need to investigate. And to do that, she doesn't need the flashlight. She's got this, unless she gets the auto-fail, which is bad, she doesn't fail. So let's go ahead and do the first one, which is 5 versus 1. This is -2. If there is a ghoul at your location, take a damage. She does take a damage because there's a ghoul here. But she did get a clue. That was her second action. And then for her third and final action, she'll do it again. 5 versus 1. 5 plus 1 is 6, so she did it. She gets the 4th clue, and this room is, it says Victory 1. So, because when you clear all the clues on a room, on a location, you get the victory. So there's a victory of 1 right there. And she is done. She did her special action, and she did all 3 actions, so she's done. Mark's done, and she is done. Now we go to the enemy phase. There is an enemy. The ghoul minion has a fight of 2. It doesn't matter. Basically, on the enemy's turn, you just look at what it does. It's going to do 1 fight and 1 sanity. That's going to defeat my dog because my dog only has 1 sanity. But because that dog takes a damage, it's going to do 1 back, which is going to defeat the ghoul minion. Now, the ghoul minion does not have victory points, so it goes back into the discard pile, so it could come back later on. But my guard dog, unfortunately, I did not have time to get out that +1 health, +1 sanity, which would have kept the guard dog in the game, but that's okay. Now, with the enemy phase done, it's the upkeep. Here we go. We put a 3rd doom. Well, the agenda triggers on 3, so let's flip the card. These 3 go away, and usually this is something bad. It says, your house continues to change before your very eyes. The walls have decayed and the ground in many rooms has turned to dirt. It is almost as if you have been transported somewhere else entirely, although every now and again you recognize elements of your former home. The lead investigator, which has been Daisy, must decide. Choose one. Either each investigator discards 1 card at random from his hand, or the lead investigator takes 2 horror. I don't want to get rid of any cards, so I am going to take 2 horror. 1, 2. She had 9 to start with, so she's a strong-willed person. Now, this card goes away, and we read agenda number 2, which takes 7 doom to advance it. The floor beneath you is giving way, and you see a vast network of tunnels twisting into the darkness below. Shapes and silhouettes of strange creatures move swiftly through the tunnels, trying to find a way up. You probably don't want to be here when they do. All right, so something's coming up from the ground. We got to find 2 more clues in order to advance it, and they're going to be in the cellar. So, I forgot to flip these. Oh, no, this is the, I didn't do upkeep. Excuse me. Upkeep, they each get a resource. And they draw a card. She draws 2. 1, 2. Play only if there's a clue on your location. Draw 3 cards. Magnifying glass, you get +1 investigate. That's not going to help me. I'll keep this one. And does she have 8 cards in her hand? Because if she does, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. She's good. And Mark draws a 32 Colt. He's got a weapon, finally. All right. So now we go and we do the treachery cards. Now Mark went first. If you remember, he moved on his turn to engage the ghouls. So he draws first. He draws a swarm of rats. Daisy draws grasping hands. Test 3 agility. For each point you fail, take a damage. Now her agility is 2. So she's already lost. So she needs to boost this. I have manual dexterity, which gives me +2. But I also have unexpected courage, which gives +2 wild. So she could add 4 to her 2 for a total of 6. And 6 versus 3 really means the auto fail is the only card I don't want. So she's going to get rid of both of these. Now Mark could contribute. Let me see. Does Mark have an agility card? He does not. So she is going to be doing a 6 versus 3. And I just don't want to draw the auto fail. 6 versus 3. 6 minus 2 is 4, so I beat it. So she does not have to deal with the grasping hands. And that is the end of the Mythos phase. So let me reset their turns. It is now the investigator phase. And they're both in the attic. I need Mark to lead the way. Well, Mark's got to deal with the rats. So, on his first action, he doesn't have the gun out. So, unfortunately, he can't shoot it. So he's going to have to fight it. His fight is 5 versus 1. And he does. And he defeats the rats, which go here. So that was his first action. Second action is he will move to the hallway. Remember, I can't go from the attic to the cellar. I have to go back here and then up there. That was his second action. Now, Daisy... Oh, and you know what? Mark took a horror. Because remember, it says the first time when you enter the attic, you take a horror. I forgot to do that when he went in the attic. So he's down to 4 horror. So the question is, do I want to get his gun out? I think I do. 3. I'll spend the 3. The gun has 6 uses, 6 ammo, 6 bullets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And when you use the gun, you spend one of your ammos, it does +1 damage. So if he successfully attacks, he'll always do 2 damage. All right. So that was his third and final turn, and he's back in the hallway. Now we go over to Daisy. And by the way, I could have put that damage on Sophie. Take 1 direct damage. You get +2, 4. If Mark Harrigan has 5 more damage. Now this allows me to get +2 on my skills. Never mind, I forgot about that. I don't like to use it because when it flips, you're at -1 for all your skill checks. So I don't like to use that card. So he's done, and we go to Daisy. Daisy can no longer investigate because she's got all the clues, so she will move for 1 action. Let's go ahead and move her into the cellar. We don't want to waste time. We gotta get the clues. So I will move her into the cellar for her second action, which reveals the cellar. There are 2 per investigator clues, so there's, again, 4 clues on here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, I only need 2 more, but remember, if I get all the clues, I get this victory point, so it might be worthwhile doing that, because XP is how you upgrade your deck. It says, forced. After you enter the cellar, take a damage. So she takes a damage. She's down to 3 health. Not good. And she's got 1 more action, plus she can do a free action that's a tome. So, let's do... For her free action, I want to use this archaic glyph. I'm going to discard a card with at least 1 research. Flashlight really doesn't help her. It would help Mark, but I'm not using him to investigate. So I'm going to get rid of flashlight. And then I get to put a resource on here. And it's 2 out of the 3. So that was her free action. And then her third and final action is she will choose to investigate. She will spend the Grim Memoir. And it says you get +2. So she's at 7 versus 4. Ooh. 7 versus 4. And if she succeeds by 2 or more, she gets to draw a card. So 7 versus 4. And I auto-failed. So she failed. Wah, wah. Okay, well that was not good. And that is the end of her turn. Enemies. There are no enemies currently out. So we go to the upkeep. Flip these over. Everybody gets a resource. And Daisy draws 2 and keeps 1. She's got the Holy Rosary, which gives her 1 sanity. Or Mind Over Matter. Fast. Play during your turn. Until the end of the round, you may use your book knowledge instead of agility or fight. I like that card. So I will hold on to that. Her sanity is still pretty high. I don't need to worry about the Rosary right now. Mark draws Amnesia. He drew his weakness card. Choose and discard all but 1 card from your hand. This is no longer going to help me because I don't have an ally out. The emergency cache gets me 3 resources. The flashlight allows me to find clues, but there's no way he's going to beat a 4, even with the flashlight. So I'll get rid of the flashlight and keep emergency cache, which gains me 3 resources. And the weakness goes back in the deck, but thankfully it is gone, and I know I won't draw it. That is the end of the upkeep phase, and now we go to the Doom or the Mythos phase. Place a Doom token. There's only 1 out of 7, so we're good there. Now, who went first? Mark went first. Remember, he moved, so he draws, and he gets Frozen in Fear. Put Frozen in Fear into play in your threat area. The first time you perform one of the following: move, fight, or evade, each round, it costs 1 additional action. Forced. At the end of your turn, you may test 3 will, and if you succeed, you can get rid of it. So basically, it just makes moving or fighting take more actions, and it's a horrible card. I hate it. All right, Daisy draws Grasping Hands again. Test 3 agility. For each point you fail, take a damage. I do have an agility here and an agility here, so I could contribute these to give her +2. She's already at 2, so 4 versus, what did I say? 4 versus 3. I don't like those odds, so I'm going to go ahead and contribute. Actually, hold on. That is a Treachery card. Never mind. I am going to play Ward of Protection. Play when you draw a non-weakness. It's a non-weakness Treachery. Cancel it effects and take a horror. So I will cancel it, take a horror, and I have to spend 1 resource to play this card. So 1 resource gone. I love that card. And that is the end of the Mythos phase. Now it's the Investigator phase. Mark needs to get up here. Does he? Yeah, because she needs, well... But if he moves... Oh, hold on. I got rid of this. If he moves, it takes an extra action. If he fights, moves, or evades, it takes an extra action. At the end of your turn, test 3. So he really can't do much right now. He should move up there in case she draws an enemy. Yeah, let's do that. So we're going to move. And remember, the first time you do it, it takes an extra action. So his 3 actions, 2 of them are automatically gone just for that move. The first time you perform 1 each round, it costs 1 additional. Okay, so it costs him an extra. But he's there. So he could try to do an investigate. His investigate is 2 versus 4. He will fail that. So instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to play a card for his 3rd and final action. It costs 0, but it gets me 3 resources. Those might come in handy later if he gets an expensive card. And his turn is done. So flip him over. Daisy needs to be doing some serious investigating this turn. So, for her free action, I'm going to go ahead and do this Archaic. I discard a card. I'll discard Forbidden Tome. And I get the 3rd one, which these go away. I get 5 resources. So she's got a lot of resources. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. She's got, and I get to say you translate the glyph. So I will put that up here to remind myself that I translated it. So that was her free action. Now she's got 3 actions. Play only if there's a clue at your location. But this costs an action, and it lets me draw 3 cards. But some of her cards have this thing where if you get a clue, like deduction says, if you gain a clue, you get to get a second clue. So let's do this. I'm going to play this for 2 for her first action. It says play only if there's a clue. Well, there's 4. Draw 3 cards. 1, 2, 3. She drew her weakness. And she drew unexpected courage. And she drew working a hunch, which gives you discover a clue. But the weakness, revelation, add it to your threat area. Forced. After you take 1 or more damage, you take a direct horror. It takes 2 actions to get rid of this. So I will put that under her card here to remind me that I have to deal with that. And, man, that's not good. Okay. But she does get working a hunch. It's fast, so it doesn't take an action. I'll spend the 2 to play the card, and it says discover a clue. So she gets 1 freebie. All right. Play until you may use your... Okay. The barricade's not really going to help me. This is a wild card. So let's do her 5 versus 4. I'll play this, which gives her 7 versus 4. And I just don't want to draw the auto fail. 7 versus 4. I got minus X number of ghouls. So she did do it. And so she gets a clue. So she's got 1, 2, 3. She's got 6. So we can but we have to go to the hallway in order to cash them in. I want those remaining 2 so I can get that victory point. For her second, that was her second action. For her third action, she's already used her freebie. For her third action, she'll use her Grim Memoir to gain +2, and if she succeeds, she gets to draw a card. Do I want to burn a card to help boost it? That will take it to 7 to 4 again. I'm going to use Barricade, 8 to 4, which basically means the auto fail would get her. And this is -1, so she didn't fail. So she gets that next clue, 1 more clue, and she'll be good to go. She's down to 1 card in her hand. That's it. All right. That is it for her turn. It is now the enemy phase. There are no enemies. Upkeep. Flip them over. They each get a resource. She draws 2 cards and keeps 1. She's got Perception and... she got this one again. Preposterous, which gives her draw 3 cards. I'm going to keep that one and discard this one. And Mark draws the home front. If this skill test, it's got 4 fight. If the test is successful, move 1 damage from Mark to the attacking enemy. That's a great card. All right. That is it for the upkeep phase. Now we do the Doom phase. Place a Doom token. There are only 2. And who went first? This turn, Mark moved and then Daisy. So Mark draws a ghoul minion engaged with him. Daisy draws the Flesh Eater engaged with her. Ooh, this is going to be tough. All right. That is 30 minutes. I try to keep these videos under 30 minutes. So I will pick up right where I left off in the next video. Until then, this is Jim the Tabletop Engineer. Thanks for joining me on this game of Arkham Horror, the card game, the Night of the Zealot. I'll be back very soon with the next video. Until then, everybody, take care.
Check out the new RPG and Wargame newsletter. Each week, the Tabletop Engineer shares news, products, Kickstarters, and much more related to the gaming hobby. It's free to subscribe, so check out the link in the video description below to sign up.